Welcome to Ingredients. This is where you can create your very own ingredient database. Now, there's no doubt that adding ingredients and creating your recipes at first can take some time, especially if you're selling a lot of items. But remember, any data that you input has a purpose and it allows you to do so much more with the platform. So just keep that in mind, and that once the data entry is done, you can get to the business of making money doing the thing that you love. So, the ingredients here allows the platform to do four things. Accurately present the ingredients on your online menu so your customers can see them. Generate labels for every meal and its associated nutrition panels. Cost your goods per meal and per serving to help with your pricing. And generate your shopping list for the orders you've received. So let's see how those four things are reflected in real life. So here, if we go to this Mary Street Kitchen and their menu, we can see this is how the ingredients present on the online menu. So you can just flick through every item and see that the ingredients are there and the allergens are also presented. Another one. So that's how they're presented on the online menu. The second way I mentioned was labels. So every time you create a recipe, the recipe has ingredients taken from your ingredient database and those ingredients added to your labels. So here's a label for the amazing chicken, leek and white wine pie. This is automatically created. As soon as you create a recipe, there's a label for it. So this is the small label, and there are various sizes of labels that you can switch through to, and some of them, the large ones for example, include the nutrition panel, and you can see that there are the allergens presented there and all sorts of information, including all of the ingredients. The third way I mentioned was for the ingredients to help with your costings. So as you can see, this is in the recipe page, and as you add an ingredient into your recipe, the price and the cost is also included in the recipe if you've added it into the ingredient. So here we can see that this is reflected down here for each serving size, which will allow you to help with your pricing of those meals. And the last place that the ingredients are reflected is in the shopping list. So this is a shopping list that you can bring up at any point during your menu, or usually gets emailed to you once the menu has closed. And each ingredient here that you need to buy, make sure you have for the amount of meals sold is in here. So these ingredients also appear in your shopping list. So let's take a look at the ingredient page now. So as you can see, the ingredients, you can add ingredients to this ingredient database in two different ways. You can add it through recipes. So every time you create a recipe, you can add an ingredient in it at that point. And if you want to have a look and see how you do that, then head over to the recipes video. But the other way, which is a little more efficient, is adding them all together here from the ingredients page. So here, let's go ahead and add an ingredient to your ingredient database. So our prompt here is to find an ingredient, it says, in the Kookaburra ingredient database. Now, the Kookaburra ingredient database is an ingredient database that we have created in our back end that takes all the nutritional information and the density and all the calculations that we need to help you in your calculations. So we need basically this source ingredient first. So it's taken from the Australian Food Composition Database and from other databases that we use if we can't find them in the Australian Food Composition Database. So let's go ahead and search for a source ingredient that will help us calculate everything you need to calculate. So let's go ahead and type in halloumi, and you'll see here that a prompt comes up for what is in our database, which is where we're going to get all the information for our calculations. You don't see all that information here, you don't need to, you just got to trust that these ingredients are very accurate and they will help in creating all your nutrition panels, your allergens, and so on and so forth. So if I select halloumi, you'll see the ingredient name pop up here. So this is a name that you choose. We've had it self-populated here just in case this is something that you want to call it, and that makes it easier for you. Otherwise, you can change it to whatever you wish. You can change it to Greek halloumi or whatever you like. Whatever makes more sense to you and your customers. And then you can also put the cost of the ingredient there. You can also put the supplier and the brand. You can even check the price at a supermarket to see if you don't know how much you pay for that particular ingredient. And then once you add it here, it appears into your database below here. You'll see that the allergen has already been pre-populated here. It has milk as the allergen, and all the other details that you've inputted appear down here as well. Another thing you can do on this page is sort your ingredients. So you might find that you want to have a look at all of your ingredients. You're in the process of giving your ingredients a bit of a glow up or correcting the price of some of the ingredients. And you might just want to look at them in alphabetical order. So wherever there is an arrow here, you can sort by that field. So that's one thing, another thing you can do here. You can also edit each ingredient. So you might find that you want to edit the price of an ingredient because the price has gone up a lot, which will then be reflected in everywhere that you use this ingredient. Or you might want to edit the source ingredient. So here, if you're changing the ingredient at this level, you're changing the source ingredient, the one that has all the calculations behind it from our ingredient database. So you can sort, you can edit, you can modify the details of the ingredient. And the other thing you can do is if you look here, you can actually see how many meals your your ingredient is in. So for example, you might find, okay, flour, I want to know where all of this type of flour, all of the recipes that this type of flour uses. So there you can go into those recipes and see, for example, my hot apple pie recipe. It'll take you straight to that hot apple pie recipe and you'll see that flour is in that recipe there. And let's switch back to ingredients now. And you can see that there are lots of things you can do here. Lots of things you can do here. Very powerful database that you can use and manipulate, and that allows us to do a lot with your meals.